I'm one of those people who quit their corporate job. Today, I want to share what I consider to be one of the harder parts of my post-quitting journey, and that is the wonderful experience of going from a high-paying corporate job to a minimum wage restaurant job. As you can imagine, it was a very demoralizing experience while I was in it. Now that I'm on the other side of it, I have no regrets. But at the same time, I'm glad it's over. So I realized I never shared what I actually did for my corporate job. I was a B2B product marketing specialist, and I'm not gonna say which company it was because
I want zero problems.
But let's just say that when I was there, I was doing okay, like not mentally, but financially. Besides the salary, the other most luxurious part of the job were the business trips I got to go on. I would go to places like Las Vegas, Florida, Barcelona, have all my expenses covered, stay in nice hotels, and go to fancy restaurants. And, for me personally, some of these things I never got to do before. Like I did travel as a kid, but I traveled with an Asian immigrant mother, so God bless her good soul. She had this incredible desire for us to see the world, but the only way we could afford to do so was obviously limiting our expenses on these trips. And one of the funnier methods my mom used, my mother would literally stuff our suitcases with instant cup noodles, and that's what we would eat in our hotel rooms. Hello, what the heck is this? It's Editing Sammy, and I just wanted to say I might have been a little bit dramatic during this part. Stuffed is a strong word. My mother included a few instant noodle cups, yes. My mom's cool, guys. I don't want to make her sound too crazy. Hi, Mom. I mean, I didn't give a because I love instant noodles. I guess what I'm trying to say is that when I had my corporate job, it was a time in my life where I experienced the most luxury. And of course, luxury is amazing. There was definitely a side of me that was very pleased and very fond with all the nice things. And that side of me would tell the other part of me that hated my job,
sit your ass down, eat your acai bowl and enjoy life. What are you doing? What are you doing?
I also experienced this weird thing where other people's tendency to be impressed by my job was something that was extremely intoxicating for me. Obviously, it's really nice to feel like people in your life are proud of you and are impressed by what you do, but I had this weird thing where once I had that, I was extremely afraid of losing it. And even though I hated my job, there were obviously many reasons that kept me from quitting it. Money is always a big one, but I would say the one that topped the list for me in terms of striking fear into my heart was honestly losing the respect of people in my life. And I had tried really hard to come to terms with that before I quit, but despite my efforts, I still struggled a lot with it. So after I quit my job, I started working part-time at a restaurant as a hostess while I was trying to get my business up and running on the side. And during this time, there were so many moments where I almost gave up and was like, I'm just gonna get another corporate job. The hardest part for me, honestly, wasn't the physical labor or anything like that. I used to work in a factory during the summers of my high school years, so I was okay with that. I was used to it. The hardest part for me, honestly, was dealing with my ego. The restaurant I worked at was in downtown Toronto, and a lot of my peers, people I used to go to school with, often go there. And the shittiest part of my job was when I would used to run into people that I knew during my shift. I would just feel so embarrassed, and it sounds so silly to say, but I had to get over not being able to tell people that I worked at this big software company and automatically feel like they were impressed and respected me. And there were so many times where I would just so badly want to tell people where I used to work so that I could get that instant hit of external validation. But I tried my best to refrain from doing that because I knew that ultimately it wasn't good for me. At the end of the day, I chose to give up that life, and now I have to focus on rebuilding my pride somewhere else rather than constantly referring to the past for this sense of self-worth. It was a rough time, but by some miracle, I survived my own self-loathing. The one thing that got me through this part of my life was having a goal that I could work towards. It helped me so much to be able to focus on building my own business, and I would bring my laptop with me on the train rides when I was on my way to my shifts, and it was on all of those train rides where I built my website that I used to take appointments for my lash extensions business later down the line. It took a lot of time and a lot of effort, but once I saw that goal through, the people that mattered to me in my life started to understand a bit more why I did what I did. And this time around, I felt like I had earned their respect my way, and it felt more gratifying that way. Whereas before, I felt like they respected me for this job that I didn't really care for. So even though I had the respect, I also felt like a fake and a fraud. I guess what I'm trying to say is, if you're able to find a goal that is true to you and you put in the time, you put in the effort to see it all the way through, if you have reasonable people in your life, they will eventually come around. And if they don't, if they're not reasonable, you know, maybe you wouldn't want them in your life. I don't know. I guess I've spoken for long enough. That's it.